Why can built-in camera gyro stabilization save footage with huge vibrations? In a previous video I mentioned that when gyro stabilization fails, you can sometimes reconstruct gyro data in post and stabilize the footage afterward. But when the built-in camera stabilization itself fails, the situation is actually very different. For example, on a 3-inch cinewhoop using the O4Lite VTX, if built-in stabilization is enabled, it applies internal image warping algorithms instead of simply shifting the frame. If we move through the frames and use the pillars of this unfinished building as reference lines, we can clearly see what's happening. You'll notice that stabilization here isn't just a simple frame shift, it also introduces perspective stretching. That stretching is calculated from completely incorrect and chaotic gyro data. These faulty gyro signals usually have huge amplitudes and very irregular frequencies, so the algorithm thinks the camera is moving far more than it actually is. When it assumes large vertical movements, you'll start to see abnormal perspective distortion at the top, bottom, and edges of the frame. It's similar to using an ultra-wide lens on your phone and shaking it rapidly. The edges of the image start bending and warping. The same thing happens with built-in stabilization. It heavily crops the original frame and turns footage that might have been relatively stable into something incorrectly warped a second time. At that point, if you take this already warped footage and try to reconstruct gyro data in Gyroflow using optical flow, it's like taking a plate of stir-fried cucumber slices and trying to turn them back into a whole cucumber so you can cook another dish with it. Obviously, that's impossible. So when you're using a hard-mounted O4Lite, you basically have a few options. Mount a separate action camera, like a typical thumb camera, to capture your footage, or build your own soft mount vibration isolation, or simply turn off built-in stabilization completely. If you still want stabilization, you can later reconstruct gyro data in Gyroflow using optical flow and stabilize it in post. And if you're flying aggressive freestyle with big moves, just turn stabilization off and use the raw footage. And with a hard-mounted setup like this, you won't get any jello at all.